At number 10, Kim Kardashian. After the 2022 Met Gala, Kim Kardashian had the chance to wear a dress originally worn by Marilyn Monroe when she sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" to the then president, John F. Kennedy Jr. Now, in a move that truly broke the internet, the reality TV star managed to get her hands on a $5 million dress famously worn by Monroe in 1962. But how on earth did Kim get her hands on such an iconic piece of history? Well, you can thank Kris Jenner for that one. However, after the Met Gala, the internet would be truly outraged at the fact that Ripley's allowed Kim to even wear the dress, as it would begin to circulate online that the reality TV star actually ruined the dress for the short period of time that she had the chance to wear it before changing into a replica dress, with Kim denying that she ruined the dress and that there was handlers present to put the dress on her. Even Ripley's would come out to try to say that the dress had already previously had damage to it. However, if you've seen the before and after photos of the damage done to the dress, you can obviously see that the dress was damaged during the Met Gala, and Kim and Ripley's are just lying to us to cover it up. And considering that Kim had a replica dress, she didn't even need to wear this dress in the first place. And number 9, Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne was definitely for real when she got caught in a lie wearing animal pelt after claiming it was faux fur. When Bella Thorne tried to shake off her social media critics back in 2018 when she posted an outfit of the day photo to Instagram rocking a fur coat, she made sure the trolls on the internet wouldn't come for her after claiming the fur wasn't real animal fur. Some users were quick to point out that the jacket looked very much like Alice and Olivia Tara's striped fur jacket, and the product listed on the site claimed that the jacket was made out of real fur. On the website, the product's overview would say crafted with super soft rabbit and blue fox fur. Bella's reps would then clarify the whole situation with TMZ, and they would later report that Bella was actually given the coat during a photo shoot and she was told it was faux fur. Her representatives also noted that now that she was aware of the actual material, she will no longer be wearing it. However, considering all clothes come with tags that let you know what the true materials are, Bella definitely knew the jacket was made with real fur, and this definitely was a way her representatives try to cover up the truth to save her image. Hey my little peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, Justin Bieber. Remember back in 2014 when Justin Bieber took to Instagram to say he bought himself a jet for Christmas? Well, it turns out that the pop star actually didn't buy himself his own set of wings, and that he was actually just renting the jet. According to TMZ, inside sources with direct knowledge about the private jet said that Justin was merely just chartering it for a Christmas flight from Canada to New York City. In other words, technically, it was just a really expensive Uber. While most of us were shocked that Justin took to his Instagram in the first place to brag about what Santa bought him for Christmas, the Gulfstream 650. Now, no doubt it was definitely a comfy ride, but it wasn't a ride in his own jet. Now, considering the jet was estimated to be around $200 million, it would have cost him just over a quarter of his entire fortune. Now, there's no denying that the jet was absolutely gorgeous, but the fact that Justin was pretending that he bought a jet definitely landed him on the naughty list that year. And number 7, Taylor Swift. Even though it's been 3 years since Taylor Swift and her former manager, Scooter Braun, started a highly publicized feud back in 2021, Scooter would open up about the truth and it would be revealed that Taylor lied about everything. Now, the feud all started when Scooter dropped $300 million to purchase Big Machine label group, including all of its music catalogs, through his holding company. Scooter was able to secure masters from some musicians like Florida Georgia Line and Thomas Rhett. However, they wouldn't be the only artists affected by the purchase, as Scooter was even able to acquire everything Taylor Swift produced on her first albums. Taylor was definitely not fond about the deal, and she would come out to say that she was sad and grossed out by the sale, and she would also accuse Scooter of being a manipulative bully, and that she was never given the opportunity to buy back her own music before it ended up in Scooter's hands. When Scooter came out to talk about the messy situation, he would claim that Taylor had been lying to all of her fans all along, as he even offered to sell her back the music. Scooter would even say that he tried to sit down with Taylor 7 times to sell her back the catalog, and even went under an NDA, and her team just refused. So Taylor pretty much lied about not being able to buy her music back, because Scooter did try to squash the beef between the two. At number 6, Rebel Rebel Wilson. When Rebel Wilson tried to lie about her age by giving fans the impression she was still in her 20s, she would also give all her fans a false impression to a journalist when she said that her real birth name was Rebel Wilson. The Australian magazine decided to run a story. Rebel would come out to say that in a series of articles in 2015 that damaged her career by panning her as a serial liar. Having told untruths about her real name, age, and childhood, Rebel would also claim that she never lied to any journalist and that she simply just deflected questions about her age because a lady never tells. Back in 2014, Rebel would claim that she was around 29 years old when she had the interview with the Australian's Woman Weekly. However, Wilson at the time was actually in her mid-30s. Rebel would also confirm that Rebel was her real name and how her mother came up with it. However, she was actually born with the real name of Melanie Elizabeth Bowens and legally changed her name to Rebel Elizabeth Wilson. With Rebel denying that she ever had the interview to begin with, a hairdresser would then later testify saying he witnessed her speaking to a woman before her shoot, and just like that, Rebel would be exposed for her lies and her real background would be exposed, and we were all truly shook. At number 5, Paris Hilton. It's really hard to say that Paris Hilton was joking in 2017 when she took to Twitter to say that she and Britney Spears invented the selfie. When Paris headed over to share 2 selfies of her and Britney Spears, she would caption the post by saying, 11 years ago, me and Britney invented the selfie. Her Twitter mentions would then be flooded by users who would prove her claims were false. With many users still giving her the benefit of a doubt, it would later be revealed that a professor at the University of Southern California that Paris was definitely lying. The professor definitely had a good chuckle when he said that Robert Cornelius was actually the first person who created the first selfie when he took a picture of himself back in 1839. Not to mention there was a lot of celebrities taking selfies before Britney and Paris started snapping photos of themselves on their wild night out. And while Paris Hilton did not invent the first selfie after she made the post, her and her publicist wouldn't respond, and it was definitely pretty funny that she tried to bring Britney Spears into her lie. And number 4, Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner can go pretty far just to get some attention, and the star isn't one to shy away from a good lie. At one point in her life, she even tried to convince us that she never had lip fillers done. However, a few years ago, she tweeted that she was eating cereal with milk for the first time and no one expected a fan to call her out on her lie. Now, many of us couldn't believe that Kylie actually never tried cereal with milk before. But when Joseph Shepard did some deep digging, he would tweet back to Kylie saying, "Girl, you lying. You had cereal with milk on April 25th, 2013 and posted it on Instagram." Joseph definitely came with receipts and it was pretty funny to read. However, after the post was posted, people began having a discussion whether the cereal was coated in milk or yogurt, but it definitely wasn't yogurt because the cereal appeared to have this little milk drizzle on it, and if it was yogurt, the strawberries would have been covered in it. Also, there's no denying that as a child, she also ate cereal with milk in it because what parent doesn't feed their child cereal with milk growing up? And number 3, Tyga. Tyga definitely had a lot of us fooled for a long time when Tyga released his first album, No Introduction. After it was released, he still needed to introduce himself and explain how he grew up. In 2013, an old video would be leaked of a show called Bustas, and it showed a teenage Tyga talking about living in Los Angeles. Tyga would then say he grew up not too tough and his parents had a Range Rover, but he was still very street. Now, the snippet raised a lot of questions as Tyga has always said he was from Compton, the West Coast city made famous by people like Dr. Dre. After the video surfaced, Tyga would come out to set the record straight during an appearance on Big Boy's Neighborhood, where he would say, "The intro beginning was scripted. I grew up in the Valley. I lived in Compton my whole life. I'm young, I'm ambitious, I don't care. I'm getting a check for this. I'm having fun, and I'm about to be on TV." Now, the controversy pretty much settled down after he explained himself, but it still makes us question if he's really telling us the truth on where he actually grew up before making it. At number 2, Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. Disney may have been the most preferred channel to watch when we were younger, especially for teen viewers, but it's not known for leaving the same impression on its teen cast. Now, the studio is definitely widely admired for its amazing PR strategies and marketing campaigns to promote a movie or a series. But several teen stars emerging from the House of Mouse have revealed how far these strategies actually took a toll on them. Now, I think we can all agree we couldn't help but raise our eyebrows when we started to connect Disney's PR strategies with Vanessa Hudgens and Zac Efron's relationship. It really seemed at the time like it was a Disney dream come true when the High School Musical stars started dating. But after the final movie was released, the two would break up, and it led to many of us to think that they were simply only together to promote the films. Since the two got together, they were always on the news for their popular off-screen romance. So it surprised us all when they would end things after the franchise released its last film. Disney and the pair tricked us into thinking that they were an actual couple, bringing in more views to the film, and it isn't the first time Hollywood has made us love an on-screen couple and has made the co-stars fake a relationship just to bring in more views to the movie. Hollywood uses this move to bring in more press, and it definitely worked in this case because we all thought this relationship was real. And at the #1 spot today, we have Beyonce. During an interview with Marie Claire UK, Beyonce would suggest that she wrote the lyrics to the song Irreplaceable. Beyonce would go on to say, "I'm not sure people think I wrote this about Jay-Z or something, but obviously the person is not the person at all." Now, we all wondered at the time when the song was released if it was written about her husband. However, the song couldn't possibly have been written about him because Beyonce never wrote the lyrics to the song at all, and it would actually be revealed that Ne-Yo wrote it. In an interview with a radio station, Ne-Yo would discuss the songs that he had written for other artists, and he said one of the songs he gave away that he didn't want to was Beyonce's Irreplaceable. "I honestly wrote that song myself." Ne-Yo would end up giving the song to Beyonce because he felt like if he sang it as a male, it wouldn't have come out right. However, I think we're all disappointed that Beyonce tried to take the credit for the whole song herself when Ne-Yo wrote it, and she definitely should have given him the credit because he definitely deserved it. Starting off the list today, we have at number 10, Jennifer Lopez. Age can definitely be a touchy subject for some people, especially when that person happens to work in the entertainment industry. Now, there's no denying that Jennifer Lopez looks ageless. And many of us can't actually believe that the star is actually 53 years old, as the star looks years younger. However, it seems like Jennifer got a little touchy about the subject when she tried to convince us back in the day that she was actually born in 1970. For the star trying to shave just a year off her life, her lies would eventually catch up to her after a police report would expose Jennifer's real birthday. Back in the day, Jennifer was dating her then boyfriend, Puff Daddy, who is known to be now as P. Diddy. She would be questioned by police in a nightclub, and the issue about the altercation that involved her boyfriend in the club located in New York City would expose her age. When the press was finally able to get their hands on that police report, Jennifer's lies would be exposed because up until that point, she claimed to be born in 1970, not 1969. Even today, some outlets still claim that Jennifer was born in 1970, so the lie still lives on. At number 9, Chrissy Teigen. After it was revealed that Chrissy Teigen was bullying Courtney Stodden online when she was just a child, Chrissy would try to explain that she reached out about the issue to Courtney and issued her an apology privately. However, Courtney would then reveal that Chrissy never tried to reach out to them privately to apologize for the abusive tweets and direct messages that they received back in 2011. Courtney then went on to say that she did accept her public apology and forgave her. The truth would still remain the same, that they never heard from Chrissy in private. She would then also reveal that Chrissy had blocked them instead of issuing an apology to them in private. And the fact that Chrissy would go on to block Courtney instead of apologizing leads us all to believe that her initial apology wasn't really sincere, and it felt more like a public attempt to save her image and her partnership with Target. Chrissy was a broken record, as she wasn't as nice as she seemed, with Chrissy claiming that she was mortified and sad with who she used to be, who was ashamed of completely being embarrassed by her behavior. And number 8, Bow Wow. Back in 2017, Bow Wow would post a photo of him on Instagram where he tried to convince us all that he was boarding a private jet from Georgia to New York to promote his upcoming TV show Growing Up Hip Hop. However, as soon as the photo began to circulate online, a fan on the same commercial flight Bow Wow was really traveling on would surface. A fellow passenger would say, "So this guy, Little Bow Wow, is on my flight to New York," but on Instagram, he posted a picture of a private jet caption, "Traveling to New York today, shaking my head, and if the situation couldn't get any worse, Fans would then spot the original photo Bow Wow posted, which appeared to be taken from a website from a Florida VIP transportation company. After Bow Wow's lies were exposed, he would then react. Bow Wow would say, "I'm flying and I like the picture, I'ma throw it up. And I'm flying to New York, but I like this picture better. I didn't say that I'm on this jet, I'm about to travel." However, by posting the jet, he definitely was trying to pull a Justin Bieber on all of us, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He just didn't think he would get caught for it. At number 7, Shania Twain. Shania Twain lied about her heritage, and it was really offensive towards the Native American community. When Shania Twain tried to claim that she had Native American blood running through her veins, a Canadian newspaper that began to circulate around her hometown before going viral would claim otherwise. Twain would then react by retreating her statement and would say when she was just 2 years old, her biological dad left and her mom would marry a man from a Native American tribe who happened to be Jerry Twain. When Shania was just 4 years old, however, Clarence Edwards was actually Shania's biological father. When Shania's mom married Jerry, Shania would state that he was the only father she had ever known and that her stepfather legally adopted her at a young age, so she was led to believe from the longest time that he was actually her birth father. But when she made the comment, she knew about her real birth father. And she made the comment without being certain about her heritage, which would force the singer to backtrack on her comments and would be like, "Man, I feel like a liar." However, that wouldn't stop Shania from legally registering herself as having 50% Native American blood, as she was able to do so thanks to her father adopting her. At number 6, Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is another celebrity who clearly thinks age is just a touchy subject, as back in 2011, Nicki would be caught lying about her age. She tried to claim for years that she was actually 2 years younger than what she actually was. With the incident being pretty pointless, it would cause a bunch of us to question why she was only trying to shave off 2 years. Nicki's age lie would be exposed after she was involved in a serious conflict. The rapper is now known to be born in 1982. She's currently 40 years old. For the longest time, however, though, she was able to maintain this huge lie that she was actually born in 1984. However, when the rapper found herself in a serious altercation, a police report would later reveal that she had been lying about her age. And she was actually 2 years older than what she led us all to believe. However, I don't think any of us were really shocked that the star was lying, as she's been lying to us for years about not having any plastic surgery done. And the police report that exposed her just proved that she wasn't the real authentic person that she was telling us that she was, and that you can't trust a pop star with an over-the-top ego who sings songs about being an alpha female on top of the world. And number 5, Britney Spears. Back in 2021, Britney Spears would admit to all of us that her bizarre social media posts that led us all to believe that she was okay were all just a lie. When the pop star spoke to Judge Brenda Penny, she would reveal that the severity of her mental health and well-being was deteriorating due to her being under a court order conservatorship. Britney would go on to say that, "I've lied and I told the world I'm okay and I'm happy. It's a lie. I've been in denial, I've been in shock, I am traumatized. Fake it till you make it, but now I'm telling you the truth, okay? I'm not happy, I can't sleep, I'm depressed, I cry every day." For years, none of us truly even understood what was happening with Britney Spears, and she used her social media to paint a picture to her fans that she was happy and she was doing fine, when she really wasn't. With videos of her dancing around her Calabasas home, none of us truly knew what Britney was going through. Britney wasn't able to be truly happy until she came out with her truth. However, the 13 years she had to suffer at the hands of her father were truly saddening, and we're all just happy to see her finally free and doing what she wishes. And number 4, Martha Stewart. Now, Martha Stewart is known for her crafty planning tips, delicious recipes. However, in 2001, her involvement in an inside trading scandal would lead to Martha's arrest, and she would be sentenced to prison for 5 months. So for those of you who don't know what inside trading is, it's pretty much a practice in which an individual buys or sells stocks they have in a company using information that's not available to the public. Insider trading is illegal, and if you're found guilty of the offense, it can result in some pretty heavy fines and prison sentences. Near the end of 2001, things really didn't start to look good for ImClone after the company failed to get FDA approval on the medication they were developing. During an investigation, one of the founders of the company would be arrested, and investigators would also discover that Martha had sold 4,000 shares of the stock she owned with the company just 1 day before the company announced the FDA's decision, and she somehow managed to avoid losing around $45,000 in the process. Martha has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing and claiming that she had an agreement with her broker to sell the shares if they went below a certain price. However, that would just be a lie, and Martha would then be charged for security fraud, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy. And number 3, Rick Ross. When photos of Rick Ross started to circulate of him working as a correctional officer in the mid-90s, his past would become a huge topic as the star would try to deny the topic for years until he made an appearance on the Full Send podcast. Rick would speak about his brief stint as a correctional officer and why he doesn't beef with other rappers, with Rick admitting he worked in a Florida jail between 1995 and 1997. He said that he is now open about that experience and what it was like and why he chose to leave the job behind. Around the time when he was 20, he really didn't get to make it to prison because you have to go through a lot of training, and he actually didn't even last that long, as he was only there for 4 months before they told him he was too tardy for the job. And that's why he went to pursue another job. For the longest time, the rapper tried to deny being a correctional officer because he felt like it took away from his street credit. After admitting to his job, he would then say that even rappers need to have a job every now and then. Coming in at number 2, Sean Kingston. Sean Kingston definitely tried to pull one on us, and he definitely tried to pull one out of Justin Bieber's books when he tried to impress his date. Back in 2012, Sean would tell the paparazzi that he was the proud new owner of Justin Bieber's sports car as he bought the car from Bieber. I think Sean knew that Justin was consistently lying about buying cars and jets and yachts, that he wouldn't call him out on his lies. However, that definitely would not be this case, as it would later be revealed that Justin didn't sell him the car and that he only lent it to him for a couple of days. And while we can only guess that Bieber won't be trusting anybody with his things anymore, I think it's worth mentioning that Justin probably shouldn't be trusted with Justin things anymore, as he consistently lies about them to us. However, it was still pretty funny to see Sean sweat it out when Bieber exposed his lies and said that he was only borrowing the car and that the car was already back safe in his garage. And coming in at number 1 today, we have Khloe Kardashian. So back in 2015, Khloe would be caught in a Thanksgiving pie lie. Khloe is definitely like all of us when it comes to dealing with the holidays and the stress that surrounds it. However, when the star was caught lying about taking credit for pies that she did not bake, something tells us that at some point or another we have all been found guilty of committing the same crime. When Khloe took to her Instagram to share snaps of pumpkin, pecan, and cherry pies, she would then try to claim that she baked all of them from scratch. However, it looks like she actually purchased them from Sweet Lady Jane, a bakery that's located in West Hollywood, as fans pointed out that the desserts looked highly familiar as other celebrities had during the season, that they shared similar posts and credited the bakery. Now, it seems like this wouldn't be Khloe's only Thanksgiving offense of the lies, as the year prior she actually shared a photo of the same trio of pies in the oven and captioned it, "All of my homemade greatness." So if Khloe ever serves you a pie in the future, it probably wasn't homemade.
Number 10, Justin Timberlake. One of the most discussed sections of The Woman in Me, a memoir by Britney Spears, is of course a revelation on what really happened while she was dating her Mickey Mouse Club co-star Justin Timberlake. After meeting JT in the clubhouse, the two sparked a romantic connection, and their connection was strong, but unfortunately Britney had to make a terrible decision in the year 2000 when she found out she was pregnant. And at first she was very excited about the whole thing because she wanted to be a parent. In her book she revealed that she had planned on starting a family with Justin, but I guess it was just going to be a little bit earlier than she expected. Well, it turns out Justin not so excited and told her that they were both too young to start a family, continuing to remind her that their careers would also need to be put on pause. This revelation may be part of the reason that Justin reportedly was so nervous leading up to the book's release, and since the book's release he's had to turn off his Instagram notifications because, hey, he's terrible and people want to let him know. Britney revealed that if the decision had solely been left to her, she would have gone through with the pregnancy, but she decided to go the opposite route instead. She claims that she only did this because Justin clearly didn't want to be the dad, and in the book she said that looking back, it was one of the most agonizing things she had ever experienced in her life. Number 9, Jamie Foxx. Fox. So this is one of the more recent secrets that's been revealed, so to speak. So far, this is just an allegation, but a woman is suing Jamie Foxx for alleged physical mistreatment at a rooftop restaurant. The allegations are being backed up by two eyewitnesses, a friend of the victim, and a security guard who saw the whole thing go down and let it happen. According to the unnamed woman, she spotted Jamie at a restaurant around 11 p.m. and after a couple of hours decided to ask him for a picture. Jamie was apparently under the influence, and according to the accuser, he became very handsy as the night progressed. He said yes to the picture and then apparently said that the woman had a model's body and smelled good. Then there are some darker and honestly pretty disturbing details that I can't go into in this channel, but if they're true, something tells me Jamie's career may be done. Truly just dark stuff. The court case is being brought forward as the Survivors Act is about to be implemented in the US. This act allows victims of physical offenses to bring civil cases to court after the statute of limitations has expired. The statute means that after a certain amount of time has passed, the victim can no longer file criminal charges. However, the new act means that civil cases are good to go. So we will see what happens to Jamie in the coming weeks. Number 8. Lizzo. Lizzo may have been a public advocate for body positivity, but as part of the lawsuit being brought up against her, it looks like all that positivity may have just been an act that she was putting on to make herself more universally loved. Now, I'm not a small man. In fact, I have what many call a dad bod, and I'm very cool with it. So I'm not dismissing the notion that we should love and respect ourselves, but come on, she made it a massive part of her personality on camera when it sounds like the only body she actually cared about was her own. According to her dancers, Lizzo regularly shames her team and makes them feel that they are too large or gaining weight, with several dancers confirming these claims. One of the dancers, Crystal Davies, who is part of this lawsuit, was fired for secretly recording a meeting between herself and Lizzo. The meeting was about the dancer's performance on stage recently and her apparently disliking the weight that she had been gaining, claiming that she wasn't committing to the role. She was also bringing her dancers to weird places and making them do weird things. Lizzo was at a club in Amsterdam's red light district when she coerced, aka forced, a dancer to touch a woman's bare chest despite saying no several times. She also made them eat bananas from some no-no zones. Again, nobody's idea of fun. Currently, there is still a court case up in the air and no one knows what will happen, but so far Lizzo is maintaining that she did nothing and will prove her innocence. Number 7, Russell Brand. Even before the controversy surrounding Russell Brand came up this year, this dude was unwelcome everywhere. Royal events, awards shows, kids' birthday parties, who knows? For anyone who doesn't know, I'm really sorry to be the one to tell you, but Russell Brand is a terrible person. The man, known best as a comedian, a bringer of joy, was secretly manipulative, aggressive, and at times violent with his ex-partners. Following in the news that a documentary about his life and career was set to release on BBC's Channel 4, several complaints got filed against him, alleging mistreatment during their time together. The allegations were actually reinforced by Russell's ex, Katy Perry, who they dated for quite some time, and she came to learn that Russell was short-tempered, opinionated, and stubborn. Russell's career was canceled, and he's currently awaiting a trial. Number 6, Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is currently the man behind Kang the Conqueror in the MCU. He was written as an important person in that franchise, being a villain in a couple of movies and recently a villain in the Loki TV show. Unfortunately for Jonathan Majors, an ex has come forward and alleged that Jonathan was physically violent towards her while they were together. Since March of this year, Majors and his team had been adamant that the situation was blown out of proportions and that there really is nothing to be upset about, which is always a fun thing to say to people during these situations. In fact, in June, Majors filed his own cross-complaint accusing his accuser. The prosecutors refuted these claims and told him they had no plans on prosecuting Grace Japari, who was the woman who accused him. Majors has been dropped from his agency, and so far his role on TV and film is pretty up in the air. I mean, his character Kang may even be kicked out of the MCU and replaced by Doctor Doom, so let's see what happens as the year progresses. Number 5, Jada Pinkett Smith. Cheating rumors and dating scandals followed Jada and Will throughout their entire relationship. Since day one, people were convinced that they were in an open relationship or had just been straight up cheating on each other. Turns out that those rumors were kind of true, because ahead of the release of her book Worthy, Jada sat down with People magazine and every other news outlet to share some inside info. The most revealing one was that herself and Will Smith were actually separated for 7 years. Of course, that's not all though. Jada is slowly ruining that guy's life and then some. When Jada revealed the truth about her separation from Will, she claimed that by the time they reached 2016, they just became exhausted with each other. The news of their separation was a mild shock at best, because Super Sleuth fans claim that they had proof Will and Jada were separated a long time ago. Some of the clips that were submitted as evidence of Will and Jada just prove it, because Will and Jada was on Red Table Talk and he looks drained. He just looks like a man dealing with so much mentally speaking. In her conversation with Will, she literally says that herself and Will had basically broken up, but instead of just outright admitting the information, she decided to hold on to it until the release of her book. A lot of Jada fans commented on the resurfaced clips, and we can all agree just Will is having a rough time, and I just feel for this guy at this point. I could go on and on about how terrible Jada Pinkett Smith is, but I've only got a couple of minutes and I already wrote a lot of lists about why she's bad, so go check him out. Number 4, Mark Wahlberg. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch hit the rap scene in 1991, and despite sounding like the title of a cheesy kids cartoon, the crew had a small following and garnered quite a bit of success. Enough for leading man Mark Wahlberg to be spotted, picked up by Hollywood to star in The Corruptor, a 1999 action flick that sees Mark play the leading man, Danny Wallace, a police officer who attempts to stop substance trafficking and corruption by the Chinese triads. He had a successful acting career that's recently been declining in quality, but he's still acting and he looks great at 52, so please don't hurt me, Mark Wahlberg. Growing up in Boston, he was the youngest of 9 children and was relentlessly bullied by his fellow siblings. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he became addicted to no-no snow by the time he was 13. He dropped out of high school and was eventually arrested at the age of 18 for attempting to slay 2 Vietnamese men. Apparently, he was walking home late one night under the influence of hallucinogens when he spotted the men. Close friends at the time confirmed that Mark did have a bit of a racial bias with his upbringing, which caused him to be instantly aggressive towards anyone who, wasn't white. He attempted to swing a large log at them, which made contact and knocked one of them unconscious. He was eventually released after serving only 45 days of a 2-year prison sentence, and he vowed to change his life forever. So far, that promise seems to be kept, and I can personally confirm that he's a very polite and patient person because he watched a movie at a theater I used to work at. He travels with like 5 people at all times. It's a little intimidating. Number 3, Margot Robbie. Margot may be a perfect Barbie on screen, but apparently behind the scenes, she may be a psycho. In a recent interview with BBC Radio 1, Margot reminisced about a little prank she pulled on an old babysitter. It involved kitchen cutters, which is the word I'm forced to use for See, they bleep it out. Apparently, Margot has just gotten a new babysitter, a much older woman that just was not as cool as Talia, her old babysitter, so she hatched a plan of sweet, sweet revenge. After a particularly trying day where Margot refused to take a bath, she decided to kick the old lady out for good and grabbed ketchup, a stabby-jabby device, and laid face down on the kitchen tiles. The old I'm kinda dead routine. As you may expect, her babysitter walked in, took one look, screamed, and just jogged out the door. She was gone. She traumatized the woman, who quit, and Margot successfully got her old babysitter back. But that's very messed up, and Margot was so young when she did that. That is so dark, a dark place for someone's mind to go that early on. Was she secretly a little crazy this whole time? Might explain why she is the best Harley Quinn we've ever seen on screen. Number 2, Tim Allen. Tim Allen is the voice of Buzz Lightyear, the star of ABC's popular sitcom Home Improvement, which premiered in 1991. And while he may have played a family man on TV, a lot of fans may not know that Tim was a smuggler of no-no snow in the early 1970s. According to Tim, he got mixed up with some pretty bad people back in the day while he was selling certain substances on the street for a couple of bucks. In 1978, Tim was arrested in the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport and was caught with more than 650 grams, 1.4 pounds of no-no snow. Unfortunately for Tim, state legislators had just passed a law that tied a life sentence to any conviction of selling 650 grams or more. Like, there was a guy from the government just next to his car like, oh, 650, all right, well, if you got 650, then you're going to jail. However, that sentence was never served, and it was revealed that Tim was set up by an undercover police officer who had been following him for months. Due to this and Tim's cooperation in providing the names of fellow dealers to the authorities, it led to him receiving a lighter conviction that allowed him to be sentenced in a federal court instead of a state one, so he was able to ignore that new policy. His information led to 20 arrests and the sentencing of a major dealer. So think about this entire entry and tell me that wouldn't be a great movie. Number 1, Danny Matheson. Danny Matheson was that 70s show's popular boy, and it helped launch several careers, including Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, and of course himself. Danny was also on this show, and it turns out the allegations against him date back to 2004 and were reported in 2004. Danny was still on the show when an investigation took place. 4 women reported that he had mistreated them physically, prompting local law enforcement to halt production of that 70s show and bring Danny in for questioning. The investigation brought little to no actual evidence to the table because it was just that time, so Danny was let go and the whole thing was forgotten about. But that means that Ashton and Mila watched this dude shut down their project and still said, hey, he's a great guy. When the charges come up again 15 years later, people are still sticking to his side that he was friends with, but it turns out that he was an actual menace and a horrible horrible person, and he's gonna go to jail. Thankfully, in 2023, it's a lot easier to confirm allegations like this, and he was recently sentenced to 3 years in prison.
At number 10, we have Jia Kim and Sang-hun Lee. The two starred alongside each other in the new spin-off series XO Kitty. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched it yet, they both played the semi-potential love interests of the main character Kitty, and their performances and respective characters were well received by viewers. It became quite the story when they revealed that they are actually siblings in real life. In a podcast, Jia shared how she first received notice to audition for the show, which she then shared forward to her younger brother Sang-hun. She was already in the running to play Yuri, while Sang-hun forgot about it altogether and only had 3 days left until the audition's deadline. Luckily for him, his sister pestered him to get it done, and the rest is history. Jia Kim was actually a given stage name that she picked, and she was auditioning from LA while her brother still lived in Korea. The odds of them both being cast was slim to none, but they made it happen. At number 9, we have Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra. The couple surprised us all when they welcomed their first baby into the world last year. This came as a shock because these news came out of nowhere. In 2021, during the Jonas Brothers family roast, Priyanka joked about how they were expecting, but little did viewers know she was actually telling the truth. The birth came via surrogate, which is how they were able to conceal any and all pregnancy news so easily from the world. They welcomed a little girl named Malti Marie and couldn't be happier to their new addition. On a joint statement shared on both stars' social media accounts, it read, "We are overjoyed to confirm that we have welcomed a baby via surrogate. We respectfully ask for your privacy during this special time as we focus on our family. Thank you very much." They received tons of praises and congratulations from fans and other celebrity friends of theirs. Baby Malti had a bit of a rough start upon her first few hours as a newborn, as she had to remain in the ICU or intensive care unit for 100 days. Fortunately, that is all she needed, as she was then taken home and has been growing healthy ever since. Priyanka would often post pictures of their daughter but made sure to cover her face entirely. That was until January this year, when she made her first public appearance at the Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony. Nick and his brothers Joe and Kevin were anointed their own plaques along the tourist-driven road. Next on the list, we have Elon Musk and Grimes. Okay, so we all know their first kid's name is X something, or apparently it's pronounced X-A12. The internet was up in flames when their poor kid was first announced. But did you know they had another kid? Because I didn't. Their second child, a daughter, was literally born a year later, but this made little to no noise. Maybe it's because her name is more normal compared to her older brother. Her name is Exadark Sidereal. I'm gonna be honest, that's kind of a fire name because it sounds like the name of a sci-fi character. But despite this very unique name, Grimes just refers to her as Y. Why? Well, if I told you that by simply asking that answers your question, would you believe me? Because that's literally why. On Twitter, she tweeted, "She's why now, or why, or just a question mark, but the government won't recognize that. Curiosity, the eternal question, and such." Meaning she wants people to question why she's called Y. Okay, I've said the word why so many times at this point the word is no longer real to me. At number 7, we have Macaulay Culkin and Brenda Song. Honestly, it came as quite the shocker when I found out these two were together. But they've been together since at least 2017, and if they're happy, we're happy. They're also very private and only share very little to their social media. So in 2021, when they welcomed their first child Dakota into the world, people were very surprised. The only statement they made regarding their firstborn was, "We are overjoyed," and that's all that really needs to be said. A year later, Macaulay's brother, actor Kieran Culkin, shared the news about baby number 2. Brenda described her and Macaulay's parenting as very hands-on. They don't have a nanny, but they do get help from Brenda's mother often. Brenda shared how she would go to work, her mother and Dakota would come on set for feeding and bonding time. So now with a new baby, they definitely got the hang of it. The actress advised that parenting doesn't have to be about assigning certain chores to each other. They learned that communicating is their top priority, as that's the only way you can acknowledge and resolve problems. At number 6, we have Florence Pugh and Toby Sebastian. Did you know Florence had a sibling? If you did, how did you even figure that out? Toby Sebastian is her older brother who found his own success in the acting industry. He's best known for his roles on the Game of Thrones and the Music of Silence. He's also a singer and songwriter. A couple of years ago, he came out with a song titled Midnight where he featured his younger sister. The song is a soft duet with a guitar accompaniment. If you're into songs that sound like they'd play at a bookstore or cute cafe, I highly recommend it. When asked about collaborating with Florence, he said, "We've always grown up collaborating as a family, which is kind of the beauty of this song and now the video that we've created." So anyone who dares say he featured her simply because of her status, do not listen to them because they clearly don't know what they're talking about. He actually credited their mom for even suggesting the idea in the first place. Within 20 minutes in the studio with no rehearsal came their little song. Next at number 5 we have Phil Collins. When I found out that actress Lily Collins is the daughter of singer Phil Collins, I had to sit down for a second. Because Collins is a very common name. I never thought they were related. There was barely any association with the two to begin with, so you can't blame me for being shocked. Now that isn't to say there wasn't any type of nepo baby privileges that came unnoticed, but clearly Lily managed to have a career in her own name. We'll talk about her nepo privileges another time. As it turns out, she isn't his only successful kid either. In total, he has 5 children, including Lily, and most of them are successful in their own career paths. His eldest daughter, Jolie, started her own production company. His eldest son, Simon, is a musician, taking after his father's profession. Simon said that Phil provided his earliest music education by giving him albums to listen to. His fourth, Nick, is also looking into a musical career and started his own band called Better Strangers. As for his youngest, Matthew, it's a mystery, but there's no doubt he has an endless supply of connections in the entertainment industry if he really wanted. And he's still young, so he has time. At number 4 we have Snoop Dogg and Brandy. The two cousins, yes, you heard that right, cousins, have their own successful music careers spanning decades. In case you've been living under a rock, Snoop Dogg is a rapper with a personality higher than life, if you know what I mean. Whereas Brandy is a singer, songwriter, and actress, most known for her R&B sound and for playing iconic roles such as Cinderella. Usually when we find out that celebrities are cousins, it tends to fall on the distant cousin type of way. But these two are actually first cousins. Their respective music careers were always separate as they never used each other to boost themselves within the industry. That's because they didn't need to, as they both managed to create their own solid fan bases throughout the 90s. But finally in 2009, Brandy was featured on Snoop Dogg's 10th album, Malice in Wonderland. They collabed in his song titled Special, where she provided the vocals for. Next on the list, we have Andie MacDowell and Margaret Qualley. Some fans of the Netflix series Made didn't believe it when it was revealed that the mother-daughter duo on the show were mother and daughter in real life. Most of it came from their names, clearly, as Margaret's stage name doesn't take after her mother's. But nonetheless, they were praised for their believable chemistry on the show, which now makes sense. Andie reassured fans that while there's so much tensity on the show, their real-life relationship is very different. Unlike the animosity and toxic relationship between their characters, Andie and Margaret are actually really close. She also shared how they spend a lot of time together anyways, so being able to work around these new types of emotions with each other wasn't very hard. And before you scream nepotism on Margaret, you'd be right, but instead of booking the role via her mother, it was the other way around. Margaret had already secured the main role and suggested to the showrunners that her mother be cast alongside her. At number 2, we have Steven Spielberg and Jessica Capshaw. While they're not blood related, they definitely are a family. A Hollywood family at that, with Steven's more than obvious big name in the industry, and Jessica known as the infamous and beloved Dr. Arizona Robbins from Grey's Anatomy. And no, they're not married. Steven is her stepfather. Kate Capshaw, Jessica's mother, is his second and most recent wife, and they're still married to this day. They met in the early 90s on set of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which he directed because duh, and Kate starred in it. It was reported that despite having these big connections, because her stepfather is literally the biggest director of all time, she decided not to use them and paved her own way. She got her Bachelor of Arts degree for English Studies and then enrolled herself in a prestigious performing arts program in London. Now, whether Steven had some role in getting her into these schools is unclear, but seeing as many don't know they're associated together like that, I think not. And finally, at number 1, we have Michael Cera. Last year, it was revealed that he and his wife Nadine became new parents. Well, it was less revealed and more so exposed by Amy Schumer. It was an accident, but Michael confirmed it days after her interview was released. Michael was known for keeping his personal life private, as his wedding was low profile too. The only reason people realized the two were married was when they were spotted wearing similar wedding bands on their fingers. And even then, the media came to a conclusion that they probably got married sometime in 2018. All we know about their kid is that he's a boy, and that's pretty much it. Michael did open up more about how being a father changed his life in more ways than one. He said it changed his perspective on life as he became a real family man. In an interview, he said, "So when I was 20, I would have been way happier to go off to some weird city and live in a hotel for 3 months. And when you have kids, you want to be with your family and you miss them a lot." I'm gonna be real, I can't believe Elon Musk had another kid that we just never knew about.
Number 10. The Maui Fund scandal. Now, who would have guessed that the woman famous for handing out cars on her talk show is being cancelled by the entire world? Why? Well, Oprah made a career-ending mistake when herself and Dwayne Johnson broke the one rule of being a billionaire. Don't ask poor people for their money. Last week, Oprah and The Rock announced that they would be starting a relief fund for the victims of the Maui wildfires. The People's Fund of Maui was given a solid $10 million to get off of the ground. $10 million donated by Oprah and Dwayne combined. So why is it just Oprah that's getting so much hate online? Well, it's because she has a net worth of roughly $2.8 billion. Billion with a B. The world is collectively furious at Oprah for having the audacity to ask working class citizens for charity when most people can barely afford to put food on their tables. The Rock and Oprah donated $5 million each to give the fund a head start. Well, guess what? $5 million to Oprah Winfrey is like $500 to us. Like, it's still a lot, but it's chump change to her. Oprah addressed all the hate online, telling the Daily Mail that she was disappointed in the reactions from the world. Rather than focusing on the good things and the people of Maui, the world was mad that she asked them to give her a nickel. Well, Oprah has yet to confirm if she'll be donating any more to the fund, but so far it's not looking like she will. Number 9. Her controversial beliefs. Oprah has had plenty of controversial people on her show, from so-called medical experts to psychologists to celebrities. Whatever is good for TV, it's good for Oprah. One particular incident that caused a ton of backlash for Oprah was when she did an interview with Suzanne Summers. She was brought onto the show to share her beauty secrets on how she was able to look so young. According to Summer, this treatment that she does on a regular basis will help. Suzanne claims that she rubs estrogen cream into her skin on one arm and smears progesterone in her other arm. Progesterone is just a fancy way of saying steroids. She also claimed that she took 60 supplements and vitamins a day, 40 in the morning and 20 before bed. What really stirred the pot was this woman claiming to be a health expert and a so-called self-help author. But surprise, surprise, a doctor she is not. Medical experts started bashing Oprah, claiming that this type of extreme hormone therapy would actually be the cause of several diseases and illnesses. You know, like cancer. Despite Suzanne's claim that her specially made, non-FDA approved bioidenticals are natural and safe, they're actually just synthetic conventional hormones that you can buy from a pharmacy. Oprah did everything in her power to sell this idea to her audience, believing 100% that these methods were useful, and even claimed that she used the methods herself to make herself feel incredible. So this lady would rather risk her audience getting cancer than just telling them the truth. Solid. Number 8. The free cars. Who could forget Oprah's famous words? You get a car, everyone gets a car! The moment was historical on her series and was parodied time and time again, and it still does to this day. However, what many people don't know is that it was not as simple as, here are the keys, have fun. When someone gives out anything on television, there is always a catch. For Oprah's audience, the catch was that if they wanted to drive away in their brand new car, they would have to pay $7,000 in taxes first. While Oprah's studio would cover, the sales tax and the registration for the vehicles, the audience members were given a choice to either pay the $7,000 and take the car, or just kind of take the cash instead. The infamous moment on the show featured 11 real teachers who were, according to Oprah, in desperate need of a new car. They, along with the audience members, received keys in a box on camera that Oprah claimed to be for their new cars. Everything has a catch even now though. For someone who is known for being super charitable and generous, the word free clearly means something else to Oprah. Number 7, she will never marry Stedman. Oprah and her partner Stedman have been together for a long time, but have never actually gotten married. While Stedman has never explained why this is, Oprah shared her side of the story. According to Oprah, getting married would mean that she would not be able to have her own life, claiming that everything she had built on her own would be at risk, like he was some kind of a career parasite or something. The strangest part about her logic behind this is the fact that she said on air that she wanted wanted Stedman to propose to her as soon as possible, so not sure what that is. Their relationship has survived a lot despite the years of rumors and speculations. However, a source close to Oprah said that in her 4 years working with the show, she could tell that there was absolutely nothing there with Stedman. Oprah just wanted to portray herself as a woman who loves her man, you know? When in reality, Stedman probably has a house separate from Oprah's, but it's like 1/5 the size. Number 6, the NDAs. Confidentiality agreements are not uncommon in the world of Hollywood. Marvel will literally have someone take you out if even a single line leaks to the public. In Kitty Kelly's tell-all book about Oprah, the author mentions the confidentiality agreements that co-workers and guest stars were always made to sign. This included everyone from Tom Cruise to the person who made Tom Cruise's muffin. Over 500 staff members were forced to sign the document. One former employee, Elizabeth Cody, tried to write a book about her time working for Oprah, but she was apparently stopped by the courts, still being tied to the agreement that she had signed. The NDAs were not meant to be a way to keep just show secrets safe, but any and all of Oprah's secrets as well. According to Elizabeth, the document was signed by almost everyone in Oprah's life. She may have this brand of sweetness and kindness, but apparently that's not how she actually is. Elizabeth felt that she was in Oprah's pocket after she signed the paperwork. In 2010, a lawsuit was even filed against Oprah and her company because Unicus Performance Training claimed that they were fired for violating the terms of this agreement, specifically involving advertising with her name, or the website of the show. That makes no sense. Number 5, diva. On air, Oprah is portrayed as a wholesome, sweet lady, but according to her stepmother, there is an unknown side to this woman, hidden from fans for years. According to Barbara, Oprah is one of the most controlling people that you will ever meet in your life. She claims that Oprah would not allow them to stay at her house when herself and her husband would try to visit, forcing them to stay in hotels with money out of their own pockets. Barbara also said that Oprah was quick to anger when it came to her staff, with several people being fired left and right over the years for the littlest things. But that's not all. Despite being a billionaire, Barbara allows her to stay at her house when she visits, something that Oprah apparently hates. The first time she actually stayed at her stepmother's place, Oprah allegedly complained that her bed sheets were not 1,000 threads and that her bath towels were not big enough. Okay, that one I can forgive. Ever use a giant towel? I'm never going back. This woman has billions of dollars to do literally anything she wants, and apparently what she wants is to make her family feel like a burden. Number 4, the vegan cleanse. Now when I learned about this next entry, I was genuinely shocked that Oprah Winfrey's show was never considered a toxic working environment. It turns out Oprah was a powerful woman when she was running the show. Oprah was an advocate for a ton of things on her show, but the one thing that she really doubled down on were her views on animal rights. Organizations like PETA praised Oprah for her advocacy, especially when she took it a step further by making her staff join her on a 21-day vegan cleanse. Now, while the cleanse was optional, if you signed up, there was no backing out. You were going to be vegan for 21 days or you were fired. Now, it was never actually confirmed if there was a penalty for leaving early, but according to one employee who participated in the cleanse, they were afraid to back out because Oprah was just so demanding. Oprah was a very serious woman behind the scenes, so we can only speculate what might have happened had she spotted a PA eating a Baconator. Number 3, spiritual beliefs. Now I'm going to start this entry by clarifying I'm not making fun of your beliefs, okay? If you're a spiritual person in any way, shape, or form, please know this entry is about Oprah and Oprah alone, okay? In an interview with Harper Bazaar, Oprah mentioned her daily morning routine that starts at 8:30 in the morning with various spiritual exercises. After reading Gathered Truth, she opens up an app called Bowl of Sake that delivers teachings of the Sufi, followed by some light meditation. The controversy here comes from Oprah inviting several self-fulfillment gurus onto her show and just gushing about one specific one named Guru Gary Sukhav's preachings. Now, Oprah herself has claimed to have secret spiritual knowledge about tapping into personal courage and giving general spiritual advice, but she stopped diving too deep into spirituality after this backlash from her fans and readers of her magazine. They just didn't like that about Oprah. Number 2, Wild Child. Several books have been published about Oprah over the years, some from her and some not. In her own book that she wrote, she revealed that growing up she was far from an easy kid to handle. When she was young, she was sent to live with her father Vernon after Oprah was caught stealing from her mother's purse. Despite being an on-screen persona known for charity and kindness, she was actually a menace throughout most of her life according to family members. As I mentioned previously on this list, Oprah's stepmother is not allowed to stay at her house and she's known to be pretty controlling. She admitted to doing some pretty troubling things at a young age, including staging an amnesia bout, breaking several things in her mother's home, and calling calling the police. According to Oprah's mother, she was uncontrollable, ungrateful, and after robbing her, maybe a little crazy. And at number 1, her buddy, Dr. Phil. Oprah is not just responsible for many hopes and dreams being squashed live on air, but she is also the creator of many talk show celebrities, namely health expert Dr. Oz and life coach Dr. Phil. Now, before Dr. Phil had his own show, Oprah had asked him and his courtroom consulting firm to help her with a trial. Before meeting Oprah, Phil had zero interest in being a television personality, but Oprah made him see the light, so to speak. According to Phil, she helped him understand the power of these shows and what they were truly made for. For Phil, he brings people on his show who are struggling with personal issues that just so happen to be good for television. Remember that Catch Me Outside girl? Dr. Phil made her rich and famous. But it's not just Phil that's had some controversial moments though. Her other protege, Mr. Dr. Oz, has had some pretty rough moments. His show is centered around medicine and health, bringing so-called experts on every week. My mother loved this show. Oprah was partnered with both of these people, meaning that whatever their shows made, she got a little something for her trouble. She doesn't like to advertise how much she made from these programs, but considering how many episodes they have done and how long the programs have been on for, it's probably a lot. Number 10. Justin Timberlake. One of the most discussed sections of the memoir is, of course, the revelation of what really happened when Britney and her Mickey Mouse Club co-star Justin Timberlake got together. After meeting JT in the clubhouse, the two sparked a romantic connection. Their connection was strong, but unfortunately, Britney had to make a difficult decision in the year 2000 after she found out she was pregnant. At first, Britney was actually pretty excited about the whole thing. In her book, she revealed that she had planned on starting a family with Justin at some point, but this was just going to be a little bit earlier than she expected. It turns out Justin was not so excited and told her that they were both too young to be starting a family, continuing to remind her that their careers would also need to be put on pause. This revelation may be part of the reason that Justin was reportedly so nervous leading up to the book's release. Britney revealed that if the decision had solely been left to her, she would have gone through with the pregnancy, but she decided to go the opposite route instead. She claims to have only done it because Justin just so clearly did not want to be the father. In the book, she said that, look back, it's one of the most agonizing things she had ever experienced in her life. Number 9. Mama Spears. One thing that comes up a lot in Britney Spears' memoir is her relationship to her parents. She discusses the strain that has been placed especially on the bond between herself and her mother, Lynn Spears. She dives deep into her childhood and what really went down, and in the book she said that she started drinking no-no juice with her mother when she was just in the 8th grade. Of course, that is awful and nobody should ever do that because Britney wouldn't just have a sip of grape juice now and again. No, she would drink no-no juice like it was her job. She explained that for fun, she started having fruity no-no juice with her mom while they were in Biloxi, Mississippi. To make things feel less, illegal, they would call the drinks toddies, named after the adult beverage that's basically just no-no tea. Britney felt a special bond with her mother because of this, especially considering the contrast between her mom and her father, Jamie. You see, when her mom had a few, she was bubbly and happy, and same with Britney, but when Jamie had a few, he would get angry and depressed. The behavior is terrible, and while bonding with your parents is pretty awesome, that is not the right way to do it. Number 8. The Snake. Britney Spears has performed at the Video Music Awards a few times over her career, but none quite as memorable as her infamous dance with the snake at the 2001 VMA ceremony. Britney walked on stage and began a performance of I'm a Slave for You with a massive snake draped across her shoulders. At first it seemed cool, but throughout the performance she doesn't look at it once, keeping her head down or aimed directly at the audience. In the memoir, she revealed that she is not only terrified of snakes, but that this one actually started hissing in her ears while she was on stage. Partway through the performance, the snake wraps around her and puts its face right near her ear, where she claims it hissed so loudly that for a moment she thought it was going to bite her face off. But she continued with the performance, and thankfully she still has her face, so that's very good. Number 7. The Notebook. While Britney may be known for her musical talents, she did have a short career in the film industry in the early 2000s. Her first role was in the film Crossroads, which, despite having a stellar cast, was apparently a very difficult difficult experience for Britney. Although she was thrown off by that film, she was actually offered the co-starring lead role in The Notebook. The process went so deep that before production was set to begin, it was down to her and Rachel McAdams for the part. Now, we all know what happened when Rachel McAdams got the role. She had a terrible time on set and spent 2 years with Ryan Gosling off screen. Yay! Britney said it would have been fun to reconnect with her Mickey Mouse Club co-star Ryan Gosling for a full-length feature, but in the end she's pretty glad that they didn't pick her. She instead decided to work on her album In the Zone, putting her creative efforts to good use despite this Hollywood rejection. Now, while the film has gone down in history as a rom-com classic, nobody can even fathom what a Britney and Ryan-led movie might have looked like. But it probably would have looked something like this. Number 6, Mickey Mouse Club. Now, I actually didn't know this because, to be honest, I'm not a big Britney Spears fan. Oh, I know, it's a shocker, I just scream pop music, but the first time I saw this woman on screen was genuinely in Austin Powers Goldmember, and her head exploded. So, overall, pretty solid first impression. However, her actual first role in the acting world took place in 1993, after she landed a gig on the Mickey Mouse Club, a show that would turn out to be a huge part of her life. Despite the colorful set and overall just Disney-ness of the show, Britney explained that filming was never easy. She revealed that the show was like being at a boot camp for the entertainment industry. Extensive dance rehearsals, singing lessons, acting classes, time in the recording studio, school in between, it was a lot. In fact, much like school, she explained that the show's cast was divided into cliques, with the younger castmates being in one crew and the olders being in the other. She admitted that there were some fun moments, like sharing a little smooch with Justin Timberlake, but it was still a very grueling job. She said it was extremely hard to work, and more often than not, the groups would be in rehearsal practicing choreography 30 times a day. That's like 28 times too many. At the end of the day, Britney treated the club like a job that took up a ton of her childhood. Number 5, Jamie Spears. Britney's father, Jamie, has had a complex relationship with his daughter for most of her life. In her memoir, she shared the harsh judgment she constantly received from her papa. She explained that she thought getting criticized for her body in the press was bad, but it hurt even more when it was coming from her own father. He repeatedly told her that she looked heavy and that she really needed to do something about it. He wasn't that nice, but I'm paraphrasing. She explained that even as a small child, he never gave her the love or the attention that she needed. In the book, she said that feeling like you are never good enough is a soul-crushing state for a young child. He drummed that message into her growing up, and even after she accomplished so much, he was continuing to make her feel like dirt. Jamie's wild opinions about Britney got so much worse when she was under her conservatorship. Under the conservatorship, Jamie was named as one of the several people in her life that could make important decisions for her, mind, body, and soul, and she was forced to grow her recently shaved hair back and get back into shape. For 13 years, Jamie remained in control of her life, right up until the suspension in 2021. Speaking of which, number 4, conservatorship. As many may know, Britney was placed under a psychiatric hold in 2008 following what we will call a difficult evening, and was later placed under a conservatorship by her father, Jamie. In her book, she explained what she had been going through at the time. She said that shaving her head and acting out were her ways of pushing back. Under the conservatorship, she was made to understand that those days were now over. She had to grow her hair back, get back into shape, and she went to bed early and had to take whatever medications that they told her to. Britney revealed that she felt like an infant under the conservatorship and lost her passion for music. She explained that she started to feel more and more like a thing on stage rather than a person. In her book, she said she had always felt music in her bones, but her family kind of stole that from her. She reminded readers of the contrast between male and female artists, telling them to think of all the male artists who've gambled their money away, who had substance control issues or mental health issues, and many of them have never had control of their bodies or money taken away. Before the book was released, people were just under the impression that the conservatorship was some kind of a financial thing, but as her book has revealed, it's a lot darker than that. Number 3, The Secret Man. Among the many things being revealed in Britney's memoir, one shocking revelation was that she actually met and fell in love with a man while under her conservatorship that almost led her to fleeing the US with said man. She explained that she was talking to a guy that she really liked, and he wanted her to leave the country with him. Not creepy at all. They had a secret relationship for quite some time and were eventually set to make the journey across the sea. But when she opened up about the romance to her assistant, she was hesitant, saying that she was worried what her father may do. Her assistant guaranteed nothing would happen, but was proven wrong when she was forced into a mental health facility around the same time that she was supposed to leave the country. There's never been a confirmation if the two situations are related, but it kind of feels like it is. Yeah, it feels feels like they were. Number 2, finding her voice. Britney has been through a ton in her life, but it turns out that we didn't even know the half of it. During her court testimonies, while she was attempting to reclaim her freedom, she said that she was forced to go to a mental health facility against her will in early 2019. It was almost 2 years ago that she regained control of her millions and every other aspect of her life. In 2022, her father requested to unseal all of the records from the duration of her conservatorship. Britney's attorney, Matthew Rosengart, called this move offensive and highly inappropriate. He explained that they did not believe a father who loves his daughter would file to unseal her medical records. Makes sense. Britney's new book is a new revelation to her side of things. A little over a year ago, her younger sister Jamie Lynn released a book called Things I Should Have Said, and in it she included a ton of details regarding Britney that seemed to paint her in a bad light. But most of Britney's fans felt that the stories were just a way to profit off her older sister during a time when she was still making headlines. And at number 1, lost all control. As previously mentioned, when Britney was placed under her conservatorship, every single aspect of her life was controlled by someone else, and mostly her dad. She was unable to make financial, physical, or personal decisions without running them through little Papa Jamie first, a man who is just notorious for being a terrible person both inside and out. While the conservatorship was dropped in 2021, the pain of her time is still lingering. She said that the conservatorship stripped her of her womanhood and made her feel like a child. In her memoir, Britney revealed that if she had been allowed to make her own decisions instead of her father, that she would be in a much better place. She wrote that 13 years of her life went by with her feeling like a shadow of herself. She constantly thinks back to the times her father would control her body or her money, and it makes her sick to her stomach. Most of her life was controlled by someone else for a very long time, but now that she's free, who knows what will happen next.
Number 10. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. For over 4 years, these men have clashed over just about everything, and they haven't exactly tried to keep their rivalry a secret. It started in 2016 when a SpaceX rocket exploded destroyed a $200 million Facebook satellite. Zuckerberg issued a statement saying he was deeply disappointed about the launch and called SpaceX a failure. 2 years later, Musk reignited the feud and tweeted, "Yeah, my fault for being an idiot. We did give them a free launch to make up for it, and I think they had some insurance." But when Facebook became embroiled in the Cambridge Analytica scandal, things got a whole lot worse. Musk publicly deleted all of his company's Facebook pages and said, "It's not a political statement, and I didn't do this because someone dared me to do it. I just don't like Facebook. Gives me the willies. Sorry." He also criticized Facebook's data sharing practices and shared several memes that implied the company was spying on its users. Oh, and they also got into a fight about the future of AI. So clearly they have never seen eye to eye.
At number 9, we have MGK and Eminem. No one can forget these two's epic diss tracks posted by the rapper MGK and Eminem. The feuds date all the way back to 2012 when MGK tweeted about Eminem's daughter Haley. And it wasn't exactly what a father of a teenage girl would want to read on the internet. Now after the twos followed over a song MGK was featured on for Tech Nine's 2018 No Reason, in the lyrics he threw some shade at Eminem by referring to his track Rap God. MGK would say, "To remind you all, you just rap and you're not a rap god." Eminem would later clap back with his own diss track called Not Alike, where he made fun of MGK featured on Tech Nine's song. In an interview later, Eminem would confirm that the two's conflict had way more to do with Haley, and it was more because the rapper said he was the greatest rapper alive since his favorite rapper banned him from Shade 45. When MGK released his diss track Rap Devil, Eminem came to destroy Kelly's rap career with his own diss track.
Number 8. Adam Levine and Lady Gaga. The Maroon 5 frontman has had several feuds with female artists over the years, but his feud with Lady Gaga really takes the cake. He first criticized her music in 2011 when he tweeted, "Lady Gaga took Vogue and Express Yourself and put them in a blender. The result? Born This Way." Then, only 2 years later, he slammed her creative choices when she dropped her Applause video from Art Pop, which referenced several major works of art throughout history. Adam wrote, "Ugh, recycling old art for a younger generation doesn't make you an artist, it makes you an art art teacher. I unabashedly love writing and performing pop music for both myself and everyone around me. That's it. It doesn't need any extra sauce. To which Lady Gaga responded by tweeting, "Uh-oh guys, the art police is here." Adam then wrote, "By the way, I'm not an artist. I sing in a band and I make music with my friends." He also went on to criticize her grammar on Twitter.
Loving this video far? Please hit that like button, it would really help us out. At number 7 we have Vin Diesel and The Rock. You know the saying, don't turn your back on family? Well, the stars Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, that statement doesn't exist. The two actors made their first on-screen appearance with each other in 2011 while filming The Fast Five. The Rock joined the set as Luke Hobbs, an agent pursuing the Fast and Furious crew for their various crimes against every law enforcement agency across the world. Everything seemed fine when he returned for the 6th and 7th entry of the series. However, in 2016, Dwayne went to his Instagram to refer to unnamed members of the cast as cowardly, timid people. Rumors then started to circulate that he was insulting Vin Diesel. A few days after filming for The Fate of the Furious and it wrapped up, Johnson posted another Instagram thanking some of his castmates by name, but didn't mention Vin Diesel. While The Rock never identified his target, Vin Diesel would later come to confirm it was in fact him in an Instagram video. Later, the duo's co-star, Michelle Rodriguez, would come to confirm that there was tension between the men on set, but it was nothing more than any kind of disagreement any close friend could have.
Number 6, Olivia Wilde and Shia LaBeouf. Shia was initially cast as a lead in Olivia's movie Don't Worry Darling, which she was directing. But soon after production started, news broke out that she had fired him and replaced him with Harry Styles. Olivia then said that she fired him due to a no a-hole policy that she has while directing. She told Variety that his process was not conducive to the ethos that she demands in her productions. He has a process that, in some ways, seems to require a combative energy. She said that she needed to protect the cast from Shia, but Shia was not happy with this side of the story and decided to publicly expose her for lying. He told Variety that he quit her film because he couldn't find time to rehearse with the cast, and in the most explosive revenge move ever, he then leaked a video of Olivia practically begging him to stay in the film, and made it clear that he was never fired in the first place. The video went viral and the result was utter chaos.
Number 5. Drake and Kanye West. When the friendship and working relationship between Kanye and Drake abruptly dissolved following a project the two were working on, it became nearly impossible for fans to keep up on their latest feuds. Back in 2018, things took a sharp turn for the duo as the two began to proceed to hurl insults back and forth in a form of diss tracks. On one of these tracks, it even revealed Drake had a son. Drake felt like he was betrayed by Kanye when he went behind his back regarding his child, because Drake confided in Kanye just before that he was having trouble with his son's mother. The fire reignited between the stars after Drake started following Kim on social media after the reality star split from Kanye. Kanye wrote to his Instagram about the matter to say, "Imagine having a problem with somebody and they follow your wife on Instagram." However, Drake seemingly went after Kanye on his album Certified Lover Boy in September of 2021. The two have since seemed to have put their past behind them.
Number 4, Bill Murray and Chevy Chase. The actors are both well known as comedic heavyweights who helped launch SNL into mainstream success. But in 1978, when Chase returned as a guest host, the two of them got into a physical altercation and began insulting one another. Murray first confronted Chase, telling him that everyone hated him. They then got into a screaming match, which started a physical fight between the two men. SNL star Jane Curtin witnessed the fist fight and said, "It was sad and painful and awful. It was that same kind of tension you would get in a family. It was uncomfortable. I think they both knew the one thing that they could say to one another that would really hurt the most." In a 2012 interview, Murray said that he and Chase were friends again. He told Empire, "It was really a Hollywood fight, a don't touch my face kind of fight. It was an opedial thing, a rupture, because we all felt mad that he had left us, and somehow I was the anointed avenging angel who had to speak for everyone. But Chevy and I are friends now. It's all fine."
Number 3. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. So the tension between the rappers Cardi B and Nicki Minaj has been ongoing since 2017, with multiple disses, tweets, and general misunderstandings and miscommunications, aided by media narratives pitting the two women against each other. The feud eventually escalated into a physical altercation in 2018 at Harper Bazaar New York Fashion Week event. Photos and videos of the incident show Cardi B being escorted out of the party barefoot with a sizable bump on her forehead, most likely caused by Nicki Minaj's security team who intervened when Cardi B threw a shoe at Nicki Minaj. Minaj. The apparent incident that the two collided over was because Nicki decided to insult Cardi's parenting skills. After the clash, Cardi took to Instagram and said she let a lot slide, and because of the result of her interaction with Nicki, she had been questioning her capabilities as a mother. Nicki later came forward on her own radio show and threw shade at Cardi by saying, "Someone get this woman some help." Cardi then went to her Instagram to debunk Nicki's story.
Number 2, Jennifer Lopez and Mariah Carey. These two have been at each other's throats since the early 2000s. In fact, most people remember the iconic line that Mariah told a reporter when she said, "I don't know her." Although it sounds hilarious, Mariah has maintained her negative opinion of J-Lo all these years. For instance, she was once asked what she thought about Beyonce and J-Lo, and she responded by saying that they don't even belong in the same category. She said, "Well, it's hard. You can't really put those two people in the same category because one is in a really different generation. They just started singing later. But when you talk about Beyonce, I think she's wonderful. She's great. She's a talented person." But it seemed like she forgot to compliment J-Lo as well. A few years later, Mariah spoke to Andy Cohen and doubled down on her comments, saying, "I don't know her. What am I supposed to say?" So it looks like it'll take a miracle for these two iconic performers to ever be on good terms.
Number 1, we have Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan. Now, the pair have been frenemies for quite some time now. With the two of them often being pitted against each other in the tabloids, their feuds can get pretty messy when on full display for the world to see. The two were known to be best friends until 2006 when Lindsay was captured in a series of photos with Paris's ex-boyfriend. Paris was then captured in a video with her friend Brandon Davis, and you could hear the two making fun of Lindsay's career and body. Lindsay would then speak to Elle and say she would never fight with a woman over a guy because it's bad karma. By November of that year, the two seemed to have put their differences aside as they were captured in a picture on a girls' night out with Britney Spears. However, in 2018, Paris would shade Lindsay by saying the photo the paparazzi captured of the three girls in 2006 was just supposed to be a girls' night with her and Britney, and Lindsay chased after them to get in the car. Even today, the stars continue to bring up old beef with each other, and it's gotten to the point where enough is enough and the two just need to put their past in the past.